Hello all. The Far Cry 5 gameplay video with topic yesterday did well by my standards, so I'm gonna try again. If I have finally discovered how to hit the sweet spot on gameplay videos, I will be very happy. So I'm gonna do an experiment today and then tomorrow, in part because I was talking to my friend last night and she's interested in the game. She's never played a Far Cry game, so I said, you know what, I'm doing gameplay videos on my channel, you can check them out. She's like, sweet, because trying to explain a Far Cry game is kind of difficult because it is such an experience. You can't talk a lot about the story because there's huge parts of the game that don't rely on the story. It's about the setting and the world. And one thing I like about this world is it feels very populated compared to past games, and I like that muchly. But you're gonna see my two modes of liberating outposts in Far Cry. Very, very quiet and very, very loud. I have no in between. If I fail out and I'm detected, you'll see. But I also wanted to talk today about some of the reactions to this game, and you guys know if you follow me on Twitter that I have been puzzled by the reaction to this game, especially by political partisans who think that the game doesn't hit the alt-right or Trump or whatever hard enough, and other people who say it's anti-Christian. And I came to a realization last night playing the game that I want to share. And because I think the game goes about as hard as a game can. I mean, there's a mission where you're recovering an indiscreet videotape that was snuck out of a Russian hotel. I mean, how much of a smack at Trump do you want? But the game itself is actually about the idea of groups and sort of the line between, healthy group association and cults. And there's a wonderful level of complexity, one would even say marvelous level of complexity in this game that I'm really enjoying, but it doesn't hand it to you. You don't have a character come out and tell you what to think about the game. The game is a Rorschach blot. And that's what I love about Far Cry games, well, Far Cry 3 onward. It kind of gelled at that point. There were elements of it in Far Cry 2 as well. But in this game, these games tend to be examinations of extremism, but this one is the most on the nose, I think, because it's the most recognizable. We're not dealing with state-sponsored drug running or child marriage here. We're dealing with American values taken to extreme. And here's the loud part. Yep, I just went from a bow and arrow to a grenade launcher, and I cannot describe how much fun this path of destruction I am tearing through was. The fact that the grenade launcher has a shark face on it makes it even better. I love this gun like crazy. I didn't know it was a grenade launcher when I bought it. Free the caged dog, add to the chaos. But man, I thought this was a shotgun. I love that shot. Look at that. And look, he doesn't die until right now. Good night, nurse. And they're still coming because there wasn't enough splode. It ain't redneck until you blow up a pickup truck. And what I like about this game is, and this is true of all the Far Cry games, it's a question of you are an outsider. You are the interloper. You are the alien coming into these little worlds that the world forgot. And making, America as Savage Land is a very interesting evolution for the franchise because it does the same thing. It makes these rednecks and cult members knowable and understandable. And I think that's precisely what these political partisans in gaming don't like about it. They can't handle seeing that people who end up joining these extremist groups might have reasons to be upset. You don't have to agree with what they do to see the human inside there. If you don't see the human inside there, you can't reach them. And, you know, there's, in the political climate nowadays, they're not reachable. They should just be destroyed. And here we go, my old trusty rock throwing technique. Took me a long time to learn to use that in video games. It's probably 7 years of my life right there, trying to figure out how to properly throw a rock to attract dudes and not be detected. But the other thing this game really makes me think about, because first of all, it is an extreme separation of church and state. You're playing as a deputy marshal, going in and busting up a cult. It is literally church versus state. And there's a letter in the main quest giver's house, this guy named Dutch, who's estranged from his family for being a prepper, you know, a survivalist, as some people would call it. Though they're not quite the same thing. I'm not going to get into why now. But, yeah, there's a letter in Dutch's bunker that talks about how he went to jail for collecting rainwater without a permit. And this struck me because it set the tone for the game kind of nicely. Because if you've ever been to a place like rural Montana, anywhere sort of the northern strip of the US in these rural neighborhoods, the right to free water is a big deal there. You want to get somebody living, you know, out in a place like this mad, talk about water, because they think water is a God-given right. If the water's on your land, you should be able to do whatever the heck they want with it. When you start thinking about it, sending a guy to jail for collecting rain, you start to understand perhaps what people who live this way take issue with the government, right? But no. According to outrage warriors, both on the right and the left, you're not supposed to see another point of view. That's heresy. And that's what made me realize the cult-like qualities in these political groups that have kind of come into gaming and are trying to sort of divvy up gamers of who can they convert to their various causes. And, you know, a lot of gamers are saying, no thanks, not interested. I just want to associate with who I want to associate with. And, you know, then they proceed to demonize gamers because that's what cults do. Join or be demonized. And, you know, this is what I love about games. The fact that interacting with the game, making it an interactive narrative, made me think about this in a way that a movie or a television show couldn't, because I came to that theme, I came to that realization myself, just experiencing this fictional culture that exists in this game. And part of what opened me up to that understanding was the fact that, you know, the first guy you meet, they make it clear he is a redneck prepper. He is preparing for doomsday. And, you know, but he's also trying... I missed the chain there. I'm so mad when I miss chain takedowns, but I make up for it. This is a good run here. I'm very proud of this outpost takeover. But, you know, the fact that your first quest giver, you know, that person who is usually one of the more likable characters in a game, and who you want to like because they're the one talking in your ear a lot of the time, is pretty rough around the edges. I'm like, huh, interesting. It's, you know, they're not just making all, you know, rednecks. Rednecks are people too. I don't use that as a pejorative. There's rednecks up here. I'll talk about some of that a bit more tomorrow when I show one of the really weird things in this game. But I think part of the clash that's going on right now in gaming is because gamers, like rednecks, people don't get us. Because we're proudly individualistic and self-sufficient, but are socialization, so to speak, is not something that, you know, townies are necessarily terribly comfortable with. Different strokes for different folks, and extremist viewpoints can't handle different strokes for different folks. 100% agreement with the ideology or excommunication is the mark of high-tension belief systems, and high-tension belief system is a term for belief systems that isolate you and ostracize you from the greater society. And there's quite a bit of that in gaming, symbolized by these block lists and the blacklisting and the shunning. And, you know, there's people who just will not talk to me because I don't fall into lockstep with their views and I did not want to be their friend. That was it. War was on. And so this game has actually made me think about how many ideological groups within the video game community have cult-like tendencies. I am not saying they are cults in the traditional term. They just do have these rigid rules for membership, and the stripping down, the shame tactics that are used, I felt was so symbolized in the end game in the first portion of this game, where you defeat John Seed, the guy who was doing the invisible horse yesterday. The sin has to come out so it can be cleansed away element. I mean, that's the dynamic of confession, right? There's actually an element of that is healthy, but groups take it to an extreme where it is not healthy, with, you know, these public shamings online, and then the way they do it in this game, it's rather literal. I won't spoil it while I'm tripping balls on these bliss flowers here. This is Faith's area. This is the second area. But yeah, I think some people are like, where are you going with this? These are fighting words, and I guess they are, though I don't mean it in that way, because the other thing that Far Cry does is they do a very good job of humanizing these violent, manipulative, power-hungry people. And kudos to them for that. It's very well done. The acting in this game is off the charts great. Here's the shot. Boom. All right, I was very proud of myself for that. Not gonna lie, almost blew it, saved it, shot to the head. Yeah, that's what I kind of thought about. And I'm gonna leave it there for now because I think I need to think about this some more and unpack it. But this has actually made me think of a new segment about games that sort of make you better, or have made me better by playing them, have given me an understanding through the interactive format that games allow. Maybe I'll talk about this a bit more tomorrow. I'm sure it'll come up some more. I'll unpack it more when I finish the game. I don't want to say too much now because I've only met three of the big bads. Joseph Seed, Jacob, and not Jacob, I haven't met Jacob yet, I've seen him, I've been in his territory, John, and then Faith. So I don't want to say too much yet, but this is where I'm at right now, and we'll see how this video does in terms of commentary plus gameplay, juxtaposed with tomorrow, which is going to take on a very different tact. Okay? Thanks for watching.